Okay, I begin. I want to show you how to make the Freedom Star, which is this little form right here. That's a smaller version of it, and here is a larger version. And I have recorded different phases of the making of this, plus I'm going to be actually folding a little and telling you the dove story. Because the dove story is the reason that the Freedom Star came along for me. Just playing with paper. And this is going to be a very brief description of the dove story, not told in the words that were actually given to me. I'm going to put over in the description bar the dove story, and it will have the words that were actually given to me, if you want to go and hear that, because it is a very remarkable story. It was given to me through automatic writing. And when it came, I wrote so fast I couldn't really realize what I was writing until I was finished. And then I went back and read everything, and it was like, wow, this is a remarkable story. And the reason I wanted to, that day that I wrote the dove story from automatic writing was a day when I wanted to fold this very form right here. This is just partly folded. It folds into the crane, and I had written all of the steps for folding that crane onto a piece of paper, separate pieces of paper, because I knew I would forget just the simple little folds for this. And so what I did was I put all the steps in a notebook on separate pages, and that day that I wanted to fold the crane again, Spirit talked to me and told me, we're going to call it the dove, and I'm going to give you a story. And then that's when the automatic writing began, and the story came through. Now, the story was inspired by Sadeko and the Thousand Cranes and Peace Pilgrim. I was at the Peace Pilgrim Center when I met a lady who had told me that story, and which wasn't a made-up story. It was true. It was about a little girl who lived in Hiroshima. As a little baby, she was exposed to the bomb that hit that city, and so she was exposed to radiation. And sometimes people got sick years later with what they called the bomb disease, but it was a really fast-acting form of leukemia, a cancer that affected her when she was about 10 years old. And she wanted to live, and a friend of hers who believed that the story about folding cranes told her, if you will fold 1,000 cranes, you can have any wish you wanted granted. So Sadeko believed that with all her heart, and she started folding paper into cranes. And she had folded around 600 or so before she got too sick to fold anymore and had to go into the hospital. And she folded a few there, but she did succumb to the leukemia and she died. But the memory of her and what she wished to do was alive more so in the people that knew her and knew her struggle to fold these 1,000 cranes. So they built a monument to Sadeko with a big crane that she's holding in her hand, and people all over the world send cranes folded to that monument, paper cranes. And there's a lot of people engaged in the activity of folding this form and thinking we want peace. So that sort of inspired this, well, very much inspired this story that I will relate to you. I'll call the dove story. But first, let me show you something. You take these, when they're folded to this stage, I call this stage the diamond stage. And I'll show you what 3 of them will do. You put 3 of them together like this, and it looks like, I'm not showing it too well, But 3 of them together, they're just W's. You can see one of them is shaped like a W. Forget holding 3 of them up. Well, anyway, 3W stands for this. And remember this if you want to fold the Freedom Star. Wish without worrying. And really, this is what Jesus told us. If whosoever shall say to this mountain, be removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and not doubt what he says, but believe the things he says, he shall have whatsoever he says. So look at the 3 W's and think, wish without worrying. And that's your very first one of the thoughts I wish you to entertain when you fold the dove or the crane. And if you don't understand the folding of the crane, you can find it, you Google it, and you will find many examples. And I will fold one for you here, but if you need examples, there are plenty of them. Now, there's another form you can make, and I will show you because you have to fold. I've got a picture up here of me folding these. And you see, you take the leggy end, not the end that's like that, but the leggy end. It looks like it has 2 legs. You put a piece of tape on it, and you tape it to another one. And then you take a 3rd one. So here's your wish without worrying. And you're making now what I call the 3-fold flame. If you're familiar with Saint Germain and some metaphysical terms, you'll understand that 3-fold flame represents God. And it's like it is part of us because we have that little spark of God called the 3-fold flame within each one of us. Now when you're taping it, because you're going to be moving this around a lot, you want to tape both sides. See, I taped them all 3 together on one side, and then I go back and open it up a little bit and put a piece of tape right there. Now, and there you have the 3-fold flame. Now I will tell you the story briefly, tell you the dove story. I'll start with a yellow piece of paper. Pretend that this is all that is. And all that is what we would regard as God. All that is wanted to know himself by seeing a smaller part of himself, so he folded in upon himself. And think of this as consciousness. Folding in and making this shape, which is a very important shape. It's the pyramid. The pyramid is supposed to be like a Bible in stone. There's so many mysteries about it that we don't even yet understand them all. And he kept folding, and imagine many folds, and then you're going to fold it one more time to a pyramid shape. This is the smaller one. This one I call Little Mike, and this one is Big Mac. That's my playing around. Okay, and as the smaller pyramid, we were made in the same image and likeness of our Creator. But we were like little butterflies, and then you open it up like this, and you can see it does sort of look like a butterfly. It's got 2 wings. We live in this world of duality where we need 2 in order to have motion. So the little butterfly could flap his wings and fly here and there in this beautiful paradise of a world. And then there were other butterflies too. And the butterflies started doing this thing that wasn't very wise. They started saying, we're better than you, and God loves us the most because we are the most beautifully colored butterflies of all. And another butterfly would say, well, you know, we're the best because we were here first. We were the very first butterflies God made. Another said, well, God must love us the best because there's more of our kind than any other kind of butterfly. And on the butterflies did this thing. It's called competition, which Really, competition is not good because it makes one person less than the other. And so the butterflies started dividing themselves with their words from other groups of butterflies. And this is when you take the butterfly and you take its little wing and you split it in half and you make the box. You have to do it to both wings. Split them in half, you make the box. Now we were all boxed in. We all had our own boxed opinion about God and our relationship to God and how we're better than that other boxed opinion over there, and there began to be many, many, many boxes. And this is the many religions that popped up, with everyone thinking they knew the most about all that is and claiming that they were the only ones that were right about what they thought. But we weren't flying anymore because boxes don't fly. They just talk. And you see, we talked with a divided tongue in us. See that divided tongue? Indian said of white man, "You speak with divided tongue." That means what you say isn't what you do. And that's what boxes were doing everywhere. Claiming such great things about themselves, but not actually living that. And so, one day, some of the boxes decided they didn't really want to be in a box anymore, and they started folding differently. And so that's when you bring this part in right here. You fold in to the center, and you do it on the flappy end. Some people, when they fold this, they turn it this way, and they're going to get it wrong. It's not going to work out. You've got to fold to the flappy end, just like you started with the flappy end when you, well, when you make the Freedom Star, you fold them together. Now you do it to the other side. There's always this duality. There's one side and the other side. And so what became of us was we folded ourselves into another shape, which was the kite. And the kite, well, there were people who were kite people, and there were still box people. The box people were pretty dogmatic and stayed in their narrow confines of their box. And they did not like it that some of their brothers and sisters were folding into their heart center and saying, "Hey, we think something different about God than you guys." But the kites, oh man, this you could liken them to the New Agers. They were driven by the wind that blew them in the sky all around. And they had to look at everything. But this was good because they were searching for God. And they wanted to know more about God and to align themselves, their spirit and their body and their mental. They wanted to become more knowledgeable of God. But the boxes on the ground held their strings. These kites had strings. And attached to it was maybe a family member that would say, "Come down out of your lofty little high spot. Come down and get back in your box, because, you know, we'll know all this when we die. It's soon enough to know then. You don't have to go looking into all those things. Or maybe the demons are involved in that. You'd best stay in your box." So the kites started feeling the pressure of their strings being pulled. And they looked at the boxes on the ground, and you take it and bend it both ways at the top, the pyramid that's at the top of this. They looked at their box brothers on the ground and they said, "These are the mountain in our way. We will try to get rid of them." So they tried to, well, not get rid of them in the sense of destroying them, but just trying to not let them matter anymore, because they would just have to leave them behind. Because they were going to find out what they wanted to find out. But then one day, they realized, hey, we must love our brothers in boxes just like they are. Because isn't that what we want them to do for us? To love us just like we are? No matter that we're looking into this or that and they think it's wrong, they will understand if we love them. And they won't be able to find fault in us because we must love them as they are. And so they began to open up to the box shape. You see, there's the box again, and they opened up further. And you do this, you make this. And this is the form we'll be working with. I call the diamond shape. The diamond shape. Okay, it's also like a little boat. And so, all of these kite people, they were like a little boat. And they said to their box brothers, get aboard our boat. They called it the unconditional love boat because they weren't going to judge their box brothers over how they looked, over their sexuality, over their race, over how they wore their hair, over anything. They said love is what matters the most. So we think there's coming a flood of love, and it's going to be pretty tremendous. So you're going to want to get aboard one of these love boats. So many of the boxes did. And then there were so many, they had to build a second boat, and then you have the other side. And then it crushed under the weight of them all. But that's all right, because now these boxes were very into love for one another. And this is the stage where I put them together to make Freedom Star. Now, this is 3 of these, and I call this the threefold flame. I forgot what it was there all at once. Tongue twisted. Okay, back to the story though, because I'm not doing the Freedom Star just yet. I want to finish the story. Okay, so we were flying, taking our brothers into our hearts, but we weren't getting anywhere. We were like a rocket that didn't take off. We didn't know why we couldn't travel out there amongst the stars. And we were also like a diamond, and the diamond had dross. Dross was in the diamond that needed to be cut away. In other words, there were some things we needed to unlearn. And we called to our brothers from other planets. And they said, yes, we'll help you now that you want to be loved. We will help you to learn how you too can fly like you once used to fly. And so they showed us how to, also here, one more thing. We were like a fat ballerina. And we would kick our legs only so high because we were so heavy in our legs. And we couldn't dance like we wanted to dance. So our space brothers showed us how to trim our form. And when you do that, you take it like this. And you fold it like so. You're going to have to do 4 folds here. And we're going to change our form now. Sorry about how I keep going up and down. It's hard to film myself doing this. Okay, but such as it is. Now, this is the shape we became after we decided to listen to our elder brothers from other planets, some of which had life on them long before Earth life. They were like wiser than we were, and they told us how to trim our form so that we could be a better dancer. Now we had skinnier legs, you see, but there was something different about us. We were shaped now like a torch. You see, that looks pretty much like a torch. And we realized something about ourselves, that we ourselves were the light. We were the light. We were made out of light. And so we decided to alter ourselves once again, and we decided the folding forward. Now this is my addition to the story. It wasn't one of the words that God gave me, but I added this. You fold it forward that way. See, I did one side, and that's the forward fold, is to say, I will not fear what is in the future, because I will realize I'm part of God and not have any fear about that. And then you fold the back side, the other side, gives you this shape, and the other folding of the other side is, I will not regret things that happened in the past. I will forgive myself and others for things that happened in the past. Because you have to live in the now. And living in the now means letting go of the past and not worrying about the future. So now we were in another shape. We became in the angel shape. You see the angel wings here? And the angel had a message. And the message was, bring all of your points together. So you take it from the bottom, pull it up to the top. That all the points have to go up. Everything has to point up. And now we were in this shape. And this shape is what I call the crown. This is the words that God gave me, that it was called the crown. And we thought, wow, we're kings. We can rule. We can, because we're crowned a king. This is our king crown. But we realized that we did not really want to rule over one another, because that would mean I'm better than you, so I must tell you how to act. And you must listen to me and obey me. And we remembered. And in the Bible days, there's a story of once when the people wanted a king, and they were told by the prophets of that day, you don't need a king. But they got a king anyway. And then there began to be taxes, and there began to be wars, because one kingdom would fight with another kingdom. There was kind of slavery, because they had to have people to do the work of the king. It just turned into an awful mess. So we remembered that, no, we don't think we want to go there. We don't want to be a king. So we made yet one more fold. And this is where you take it and fold forward and backward, like you're folding a book up both ways, forward and backward. And now you see we're something different. Now we are what is the seed stage. And so, as a seed stage, we are growing from the middle. We have two sprouts coming out, one here and one there, and we're almost ready to fly. And all we have to do now is relax and know who we are and unfold our wings. And there you go. We are the dove. And right there in the middle of us, and turn one down for the head, one down for the tail. And see what is in the middle of us? It's the pyramid again. The pyramid, that part of God that was the triangle that was shaped like a pyramid, that has been centering us all the time, no matter what direction or what ideas we got, we were always centered by God, who would bring us back to balance. And now we could fly, and we had found the dove. And now I will tell you, that is in essence the dove story, but there's more to it, even more wonderful things it has to say. So go to my description bar and look at the story of the dove. Now, to continue with showing you how to make Freedom Star, I will have to show you some of the steps. Okay, I showed you how to make a threefold flame, and you make 3 of them and put them together. Okay. Like so. You start folding, these are the threefold flames, and 2 of them are together here. Now, there's the third one, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to bring that together. And you have this. But now you need, no, wait a minute, I told you wrong. You want to put 5 of them together. It takes 5 of these. And this is the making of the 5 points of the star that are going to be, in this case, pink. And you fold it together, and let me show you the next step. See, there it is. Now you're going to have to fold these ends, tape these ends together too. You don't want any loose ends. And you have this little thing right here. It reminds me of a rosette or something like that. But you need to make 12 of them. It takes 12 for it to make a round solid piece. 11 won't do, 10 won't do, you need 12. And 12 is a very significant number. So you take these and start putting them together. Oh, and that's the other side of that. See, on one side it looks like a moon and spiky things, but on this side, the inside of that, there's the star, the 5-pointed star. And then you just have to make a bunch of them. Let me bring my camera a little over where you can see it better since I'm not demonstrating the dove now. And altogether I made 12, and there they are. Now, all 12 of these get taped together too. So you start taping them together, and pretty soon you have a form that this is about 10 of them. And it's starting to circle up, you know, starting to make a circle. And that's the other side. That's the side that you will be working with mostly, that has all what I call the moons and the spikes. And when you get it, oh, there's the threefold flame. I wanted to show you, that's a big one that I made of it. Ignore this part. This is how you make the star. This is how you make the dove into a Merkaba. Four pieces of paper. See, here's the 4. Unfolded and put back together in a certain way makes this thing in the middle. And then you turn this one that I will make, turns upside down, fits on the top, and then you have the Merkaba, which I thought was rather remarkable that the dove, 4 of them, would make the Merkaba. And there, that is finished. But now, here we go. Now, when you get to this stage, I'll move this up real close. Oh, dang. When you get to this stage, you have 10 of them put together. Now, you can't put the last 2 in upside down because, in it this way until you turn this entire thing upside down. And this is where the stars become predominant because they're on the inside, but now we want them on the outside. So the turning of this upside down, inside out, imagine this to be like our world changing the magnetics of our world. And we don't want it to happen in the way like the South Pole and the North Pole change and all life is wiped out. But since we are life that is consciousness, and mental thoughts can do a lot. Our mental thoughts, we can imagine ourselves turning this inside out and saying this is symbolic for the dimensional shift that we feel has to happen and that we want to happen, not in a drastic way that wipes out life. And then I'll show you here, you have it this way, and at one point, let me go back to my library so I can show you a picture. Where is it? When you have 10 of them together, oh, I didn't put that in there. Well, I'll show it to you later. I put this over my head and it looks like a helmet. I guess I didn't want my face showing. So when you turn it over, then you have to put the last 2 pieces in upside down. Okay, here's a picture of 10 of them are together, 11 and 12 are right here, but they can't go in until I've turned this upside down, which I have here. I've turned it upside down. And now these 2 pieces have to go in upside down as well, because that's how all the rest of them are. And these last 2 pieces will bring all of the edges together. And then you will have made, I'm showing various stages of it, then you will have made the Freedom Star. Now this is about as good as I can tell this story. But I think if people everywhere were to make the Freedom Star, that would be a wonderful thing. I want to focus on this Freedom Star while I go back to the library and find that picture of me wearing that one. Okay. Might be harder to do. I thought I had all my ducks lined up in a row.